They buried my son yesterday. Arlington National Cemetery. Full military honors. 21-gun salute. Folded flag. Taps playing while the honor guard stood at attention. Everything proper. Everything respectful. Everything I'd seen before. Same cemetery where we buried my father in 1952. Korea. Same rows of white headstones. Same eternal quiet. Same promise that their sacrifice mattered. 3 generations, 3 wars, 3 graves that shouldn't exist. My name is Colonel James Sullivan, U.S. Army, retired. I'm 57 years old, served in Vietnam, 2 tours, 1967 to 68 and 1970 to 71. Came home, made a career of it, 25 years in the Army, did everything right, survived, rose through the ranks, should have been proud. Instead, I stood at my son's grave yesterday and realized I'd killed him. Not with my hands, not directly, but I killed him anyway. Killed him with stories, with pride, with the example I set, with the uniform I wore, with every goddamn thing I did that made him want to follow me, want to be like me, want to serve his country the way I did. His name was Michael Sullivan, Lieutenant, U.S. Army, 23 years old, died in Grenada. Operation Urgent Fury, October 25th, 1983. Killed leading his platoon in combat. Heroic, they said. Brave, they said. Died serving his country, they said. And he died because I taught him that war was honorable, that service was noble, that following in my footsteps was something to aspire to. I was wrong, and now my son is dead. I went to Vietnam in 1967, 25 years old. Lieutenant, infantry, airborne, eager, stupid. Believed everything they told us about stopping communism, about defending freedom, about doing our duty. Vietnam taught me different. Taught me that war is confusion and chaos and young men dying for reasons nobody can explain. Taught me that victory is impossible and defeat is guaranteed. And all you can do is survive and try not to think about it too much. I saw friends die, saw enemies die, saw civilians die, saw everyone die in that jungle. For hills we'd take and abandon, for villages we'd destroy to save, for objectives that changed every week, for a war we couldn't win and wouldn't quit. I came home in 1968, angry, disillusioned, done with the Army, done with war, done with all of it. But I went back, 1970, second tour. Why? Because I didn't know how to be anything else. Because civilian life felt wrong. Because war, for all its horror, made sense in a way peace didn't. Because once you're a soldier, you're always a soldier. Can't turn it off, can't walk away. Second tour was worse. More death, more pointlessness, more proof that we were losing, that we'd always been losing, that all those deaths meant nothing, changed nothing, accomplished nothing. I came home in 1971. Should have gotten out, should have quit, should have said enough, but I didn't. I stayed in, made the Army my career, convinced myself it mattered. That service meant something, that all those deaths weren't for nothing if I kept serving, kept believing, kept pretending. I met Jennifer in 1972, married her in 1973. She knew what I was, knew what I'd done, knew what I carried. Married me anyway, good woman, too good for me, probably. Michael was born in 1974, my son, my boy, and from the moment I held him, I knew I wanted him to be better than me, smarter than me, happier than me. Knew I wanted to protect him from everything I'd seen, everything I'd done, everything I'd become. But I also wanted him to be proud of me, wanted him to understand why I served, why I stayed in, why the uniform mattered, wanted him to see the good in it, the honor, the duty, the meaning I'd convinced myself existed. I wanted both, wanted him safe and wanted him proud, wanted him to avoid war and wanted him to respect warriors, wanted him to never do what I did and wanted him to understand why I did it. You can't have both. I know that now. But I didn't know it then. Michael grew up on Army bases, Fort Bragg, Fort Benning, Germany for 3 years, back to the States. The military was his whole world, his whole life, the only life he knew. He loved it. Loved the structure, the discipline, the community. He loved watching formations, loved the ceremonies, loved when I'd come home in uniform. He'd salute me. Little kid salute. Crisp and serious. "Welcome home, sir," he'd say. 3 years old and playing soldier. I encouraged it. God help me, I encouraged it. Thought it was cute. Thought it was good. Thought it showed character, pride, respect. I told him stories, edited versions, safe versions, about Vietnam, about combat, about what it meant to be a soldier. Left out the horror, left out the death, left out the pointlessness. Told him about brotherhood, about duty, about serving something bigger than yourself. Made war sound noble. Made it sound meaningful. Made it sound like something worth doing. Jennifer warned me. "You're romanticizing it," she said. "You're making it sound better than it was." "He's just a kid," I said. "He doesn't need to know everything." "Not yet." "When?" she asked. "When will you tell him the truth?" "When he's older," I said. "When he can understand." But I never did. Never told him the truth. Never told him about the friends I lost, about the villages we burned, about the bodies, about the nightmares, about how I came home broken and pretended I was fine, about how the uniform was a costume and the medals were lies and the whole thing was just survival dressed up as honor. Never told him because I needed him to believe. Needed someone to believe. Needed to believe it myself. Michael was smart, straight A student. Could have done anything. Could have gone to college. Could have been a doctor, lawyer, engineer, anything. He had options. He had a future. He chose West Point. I was proud. God help me, I was so proud. My son, going to the academy, going to be an officer, going to serve, following in my footsteps. Jennifer cried when he told us. Not happy tears, sad tears, scared tears. "Don't do this," she said to him. "You don't have to do this. You can be anything. Do anything." "I want to serve," Michael said. "Like Dad. I want to make a difference." Like Dad. Those words. Like Dad. Like I was something worth emulating. Like I'd done something worth repeating. Like the mistakes I'd made were worth making again. I should have stopped him. Should have told him the truth. Should have said, "Son, I've been lying to you. War isn't noble. Service isn't honorable. I'm not a hero. I'm just a man who survived and convinced himself it meant something. Don't follow me. Don't be like me. Be better." But I didn't say that. I shook his hand, told him I was proud, told him he'd do great, told him all the things a father should say when his son makes him proud. And I killed him, right there, in that moment. Killed him years before Grenada. Killed him with pride and lies and the example I'd set his whole life. October 25th, 1983. I was at Fort Leavenworth, staff assignment, Command and General Staff College, teaching, training the next generation of officers. Jennifer was with me. Michael was deployed. Grenada, quick operation, in and out, they said. No problem, they said. The phone rang at 0400. You always know. When the phone rings at 0400, you always know. But you answer anyway. Hope you're wrong. Pray you're wrong. No, you're not. Colonel Sullivan? This is Major General Patterson. I'm afraid I have some difficult news about your son. Difficult news. That's how they say it. Difficult. Like it's a challenge. Like it's something you can work through. Like it's not the end of everything. Lieutenant Sullivan was killed in action this morning during combat operations in Grenada. He was leading his platoon in an assault on a fortified position when he was struck by enemy fire. He died instantly. He felt no pain. He served with distinction. I'm deeply sorry for your loss. The script, the official script, the same script they'd used for thousands of notifications, for tens of thousands. The same words they'd said to my mother when my father died in Korea. The same words they'd said to countless mothers and wives and children throughout history. He died instantly. He felt no pain. Standard lies, comforting lies. The same lies I'd told families when I had to make notifications, when I had to stand on someone's porch and destroy their world with official words and scripted sympathy. I knew they were lies. I'd seen combat, seen men die. There's no such thing as instant and painless. There's just dead and the living who have to pretend it was quick and merciful. Jennifer collapsed, just collapsed, screaming, crying, broken. I held her, tried to comfort her, tried to be strong. That's what you do. That's what soldiers do. Be strong, show no emotion, handle it. But inside I was screaming too. Inside I was broken too. Inside I was dying too, because my son was dead, my boy, my Michael, 23 years old, his whole life ahead of him. Dead in some Caribbean island most Americans couldn't find on a map, for reasons nobody could explain, for a mission that would be forgotten in a month, for nothing except the example I'd set, the lies I'd told, the pride I'd shown in a uniform that got him killed. They flew his body home, Dover Air Force Base, then to Arlington. Full military honors, everything proper, everything he deserved, everything that meant nothing. The funeral was 3 days ago. Perfect November day, cold but clear. The cemetery was beautiful, rows of white headstones stretching forever. Thousands of dead, tens of thousands. All of them somebody's son, somebody's father, somebody's husband. All of them gone. All of them buried with honors and flags and the promise that their sacrifice mattered. I wore my dress uniform, full ribbons, all my decorations, 25 years of service, 2 Purple Hearts, Bronze Star, Silver Star, all the proof that I'd served, that I'd sacrificed, that I'd done my duty, all the evidence I used to convince my son that this life was worth living, that this path was worth following, that I was worth emulating. I stood there at the graveside while they folded the flag, while they handed it to Jennifer, while she sobbed and held it like it could bring him back, while taps played, while the honor guard fired their volleys, while everything happened exactly as it was supposed to happen, exactly as I'd seen it happen for my father, exactly as I'd participated in for other families throughout my career. And I thought about my father, about how he died in Korea when I was 10, about how I'd been so proud of him, about how I'd wanted to be like him, about how I'd joined the army to honor him, to follow his example, to be worthy of his sacrifice, about how that cycle had just repeated, about how I'd become my father, about how Michael had become me, about how we'd passed down war like a family heirloom, like a legacy, like something valuable instead of something toxic. 3 generations of Sullivans, 3 generations of soldiers, 3 generations of graves. And for what? For what did my father die? For Korea? For a peninsula still divided? For a war that accomplished nothing? For what did I fight? For Vietnam? For a war we lost? For a cause nobody believed in? For what did Michael die? For Grenada? For a tiny island invasion that America forgot about in weeks? For a mission that didn't matter? For nothing. All of it. For nothing except the cycle. The generational transfer of trauma dressed up as honor. The passing down of death disguised as duty. I should have broken the cycle. Should have told Michael the truth. Should have said war is hell and service is suffering and soldiers are just men who kill and die and pretend it means something because the alternative is too painful. But I didn't. I lied. I smiled. I wore the uniform with pride. I made him think it was noble. I made him think it mattered. I made him think following me was the right choice. I killed my son, not with a gun, not with my hands, but with my example, with my pride, with my lies. And now he's in the ground at Arlington, 23 years old, his whole life unlived, his whole future erased. Another white headstone in an endless field of white headstones, another name on a wall, another statistic, another casualty of the generational cycle of war. It's been 6 years since Michael died. 6 years since that phone call. 6 years since the funeral. 6 years of living with what I did. I'm 57 years old now, retired, living in Virginia, close to Arlington, close to Michael's grave. I visit every week, every Sunday, rain or shine, sit there and talk to him, tell him things I should have told him when he was alive, tell him the truth about Vietnam, about the horror, about the pointlessness, about how I came home broken, about the nightmares, about the friends I lost, about the villagers we killed, about all of it. Everything I hid from him his whole life. Tell him I'm sorry. Sorry for lying. Sorry for making it seem noble. Sorry for being proud instead of honest. Sorry for putting my uniform on every day and making him think it was something worth wearing. Sorry for every story I told that made war seem like something other than what it is. Sorry for killing him. Jennifer hasn't forgiven me. Don't know if she ever will. She's still here. Still my wife. But something broke in her when Michael died. Something that can't be fixed. She looks at me sometimes and I can see it in her eyes. The accusation, the blame, the truth we both know but never say out loud. This is your fault. You did this. You made him want to be a soldier. You made him want to be like you. You killed our son. She's right. She's absolutely right. And I can't argue with her, can't defend myself, can't explain it away, because there's no explanation, no defense, no justification. I made my son into a soldier, and soldiers die. That's what they do. That's what we do. We die. For causes that don't matter. For missions that don't succeed. For countries that forget us. For nothing except the abstract concept of duty and honor and service that we use to justify the killing and dying. I've thought about taking off the uniform, symbolically, rejecting it, denouncing it, speaking out against war, against the military, against the cycle, becoming a peace activist, an anti-war voice, using my credentials to condemn the system that killed my son. But I can't, because that would mean admitting it was all meaningless, that my service was worthless, that my father died for nothing, that Michael died for nothing, that 3 generations of Sullivans gave their lives for lies. And I can't face that, can't accept that, can't let myself believe that all of it, all the death, all the sacrifice, all the suffering was for nothing. So I'm trapped. Trapped between the truth I know and the lies I need to believe. Trapped between grief and pride. Trapped between the son I lost and the father I was. Trapped between the soldier I became and the man I should have been. I visit Michael's grave every Sunday. Sit there among the thousands of other graves. Other sons, other fathers, other casualties of the generational cycle of war. The endless transfer of trauma from father to son. The passing down of death disguised as legacy. And I wonder how many of these graves are like Michael's. How many sons followed fathers into war? How many died because someone they loved made war seem noble? How many casualties of pride and lies and the examples we set? How many fathers sit at graves like I sit at Michael's, knowing the truth but unable to say it? Knowing we killed our sons but unable to admit it? Knowing the cycle continues but unable to break it? Conclusion. The cycle continues. There's talk of another war, always is, Middle East, Central America, somewhere. The reasons change, but the pattern stays the same. American soldiers will deploy. American soldiers will die. American fathers will bury sons. American sons will bury fathers. The cycle continues. And somewhere right now, there's a boy who looks up to his father, who sees him in uniform, who hears stories about service and duty and honor, who wants to be just like him, who wants to make him proud, who doesn't know that following that path leads to a grave with his name on it. And his father doesn't tell him, doesn't warn him, doesn't break the cycle, because the father needs to believe it meant something, needs to believe his service mattered, needs to believe the lies are truth and the truth is too painful to speak, just like I did, just like my father probably did, just like fathers have done throughout all of history, sending sons to war with pride and lies and the promise that it means something, that it matters, that sacrifice is noble and death is honorable and service is its own reward, killing them with love, with pride, with example, with every word we say and every uniform we wear and every story we tell that makes war seem like anything other than what it is. Hell, meaningless hell, that eats generations, that passes trauma from father to son like a virus, that dresses up death in flags and ceremonies and promises that it matters when it doesn't, when it never has, when it never will. I killed my son, not with malice, not with intent, but with pride, with lies, with the example I set every day of his life, with the uniform I wore, with the stories I told, with every moment I made him think following me was the right choice. And I can't undo it, can't bring him back, can't break the cycle, can't warn the next father, can't stop the next son, can't do anything except sit at his grave every Sunday and wish I'd told him the truth. Wish I'd said, "Son, I've been lying to you your whole life. War isn't noble. Service isn't honorable. Soldiers aren't heroes. We're just men who kill and die and pretend it means something because we can't face the alternative. Don't follow me. Don't be like me. Break the cycle. Live. Please, just live." But I didn't say that. And now he's dead. 23 years old. Forever. Another white headstone in an endless field. Another casualty of the cycle. Another son who followed his father to war and never came home. 3 generations of Sullivans. 3 generations of soldiers. 3 generations of graves. 3 generations of fathers and sons passing down death like a family business. And somewhere maybe there's a 4th generation, a grandson I'll never meet, who might someday look at his father's grave, at his grandfather's grave, at his great-grandfather's grave. 3 generations of soldiers, all dead, all buried with honor, all gone. And maybe he'll break the cycle. Maybe he'll see the pattern. Maybe he'll refuse. Maybe he'll live. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll stand there looking at those graves and feel pride, feel connection, feel duty, feel the pull of following his ancestors, feel the need to prove himself worthy of the sacrifice, feel everything I felt, everything Michael felt, everything that leads sons to follow fathers to war. And the cycle will continue, generation after generation, father to son, son to father, graves to graves, forever, unless someone breaks it, unless someone tells the truth, unless someone says enough, unless someone loves their son more than they love their pride. I couldn't do it, couldn't break the cycle, couldn't tell the truth, couldn't save my son, but maybe someone else can. Maybe some father somewhere will see his son looking at him in uniform and feel the weight of what that means, feel the responsibility, feel the danger, and tell him the truth. Tell him war is hell. Tell him soldiers die. Tell him service is suffering. Tell him following this path leads to a grave. Tell him to break the cycle. Tell him to live. Tell him to be better. Tell him the truth. Save him. I visit Michael's grave every Sunday. Sit there wishing I'd saved him, knowing I killed him, carrying that weight forever. Hoping somehow that his death means something, that someone, somewhere learns from it, that some father tells some son the truth, that the cycle breaks, that the killing stops, that my son didn't die for nothing, but knowing deep down that he did, that they all did, that the cycle never breaks, that fathers keep lying and sons keep dying and the graves keep multiplying. Generation after generation, war after war, forever. That's my legacy. That's what I pass down. Not honor, not duty, not service, just death, and lies, and an empty chair at Thanksgiving, and a grave I visit every Sunday, and guilt that will never fade, and knowledge that will never comfort. I killed my son, with pride, with example, with love twisted into something toxic, with the uniform I wore and the stories I told, and every moment I made him want to be like me. And I'll carry that until they bury me, until I'm another headstone in that field, another grave in the family line, another Sullivan soldier dead and gone, 3 generations in the ground, maybe someday 4. The cycle continues. God help us all.